Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the new product launch webinar from Dahua. My name is Simon Nash, and we're going to commence in just a few moments. We've had a last-minute flurry of people registering for the webinar, which is great news. So we're just going to wait a couple of minutes to allow those people to join. So bear with us. We'll be with you very, very shortly. Thank you. Okay, so for anybody just joining us, again, a warm welcome. We're just waiting for a few minutes. Last moment registrations to join us. So give us a few minutes and we'll make a start. Okay, I've been given the signal to start, so here we go. Welcome once again to this new product launch webinar. My name is Simon Nash, and I work for Dahua in the UK and Ireland. And it's my great pleasure to be able to talk to you today about some new exciting technologies that we're very proud to be launching in the market. So let's start as we always tend to do on these webinars. We'll start by taking a look at the subjects that we're going to cover. So firstly, we're going to welcome the new product. We've called it TiOC, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about that later. And then we'll talk about a feature that is fairly common. It's known as auto tracking, but we've made some real enhancements compared to the previous version, auto tracking 1. So there's some big differences between 1 and 2. We're going to talk a little bit more about those as we go through the presentation. And then a subject that I think is probably dear to a lot of people's hearts, and that's the quality side of the Dahua brand. And we invest a lot of money and time and effort in our HQ in China to be able to ensure that we deliver the highest quality products to the market. We're going to then skip a little bit to some practical demonstrations, and my colleague Chris is going to do some demonstrations for you, actual live demonstrations of the camera. So I'll hand over to him, and then we'll talk a little bit about we'll handle some Q&A, and then finally at the end, if you want, there is an optional test. So at the end, we'll put a little slide up there, and you can use the QR code to join that if you wish. It's purely optional, and we said we'd welcome you if you want to have a go at that. Just on the subject of Q&A, if you have questions, then please don't hesitate to use the chat to send them in. It's really quite tricky on a webinar to do the two-way audio. So if you have questions, please use the chat. We've got a team of people here with me in the room, and we're already poised, or they're already poised to be able to answer your questions as they come. And as they do through the wonders of technology, Andy and his team are able to push those to us. So I think there will be hopefully a few slides at the end if you ask some good questions, and maybe we'll take a look at some of those as they go throughout the course of the webinar. So to start with, let's talk about the TiOC, or as we call it, the 3-in-1 camera. This is an industry first from Dahua. So I'd like to take a few moments firstly to talk about the concept of TiOC, and then why it's unique and why Dahua has been the first one to bring this concept to the market. Firstly, the name TiOC, we kind of learned a lot from our experience with TMAC, and any of you that have attended that webinar in the past will know that we started calling it TMAC on these webinar sessions, and kind of the name stuck. So we thought when we're talking about launching this new technology, let's keep with the same kind of idea, and we'll have a little abbreviation for it. So we call it TiOC, and what it means in simple terms, it's a 3-in-1 camera. But why is it 3-in-1? Well, there are 3 elements to this new camera. So let's take a few moments just to talk through some of them. Firstly, it is a full color camera. So even in low light performance, the camera has exceptional low light capabilities. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that in more detail, and I've got some videos and some pictures that will really highlight the benefit of the full color feature. Also, the new camera range features active deterrent. So there's a whole host of technologies and features, and more importantly, customer benefits to the active deterrent. And then finally, the camera has artificial intelligence. Now, I can't hear what you're thinking, but you may well be thinking, well, hang on a minute, none of these technologies are new. They all exist in the industry, and you'd be quite right to say that. All of them in their independent rights sit there, and they've appeared in many Dahua products. They've appeared in many of our competitors' products. However, Dahua is the first in the industry to bring these three technologies into the same package. So the new camera is an industry first of combining full color, active deterrent, and artificial intelligence into the same product. But why have we done it? Let's take a look at some of the challenges that our customers, often we call them end users, let's take a few moments to consider some of their challenges. Well, a lot of people tell us, a lot of end users tell us that statistically speaking, we know this as well. We work in the industry, that most crime, statistically speaking, occurs at night. And we know that it is traditionally difficult to produce good quality images at night, and therefore it's hard to identify suspects. And if it's hard to identify subjects and suspects, then producing evidential quality video is very, very hard. So the customer requirement in that sense is to have high quality images, even when it's low light, even during nighttime, or even when there's no light at all. You still want to be able to produce good quality images. And those good quality images are important because that's what's recorded. And that's the evidential information that you can provide to the authorities if you want to affect a prosecution. So the second one is there are too many false alarms. I've heard it said so many times, and probably you, like me, have spent a lot of time in control rooms, and you hear alarms going off all over the place. And operators don't often respond to them because there are so many, because most of them are false alarms. And actually, we know through analysis and what our customers tell us that actually only 1% of all the alarms that are triggered are actual alarms. Well, let's find a way of using AI technology to reduce the number of false alarms, which enable the operators, the security guards, the security professionals to give a far more meaningful response. Also, large estates are hard to patrol. If you have a big campus, a big facility, it might be a shopping center, a shopping mall, it might be a university, a college, or even just a large manufacturing facility. If it's a large facility, it is very hard for the security operators to patrol that. And therefore, if they're at one side of the site and an event occurs at the other side, it is very hard for them to react. So having some degree of automated response, using some technology into the camera, which can provide an active deterrent, can provide a proactive security solution. So active deterrent features heavily in the new TiOC range of cameras. And also, there are large amounts of data. When we talk, as we do now, higher and higher image resolution, so high definition, 4K, 8K, and as that goes on and on, it takes a lot of bandwidth, and we'll come on to that in a moment. But it takes a long time to search through all of that different data if you want to find a particular event. So more use of artificial intelligence and better search engines, being able to select the information that you actually require as an operator allows you to search with more forensic accuracy than just searching through hours and hours and hours of video data. And we talked about those high definition images. Well, we know that has a high cost of video storage. It costs a lot of money to store all of these different video images, and also not forgetting the impact on the bandwidth. You need a high bandwidth requirement, so that affects the choice of switches, the amount of hardware, network infrastructure that you need to provide the customers in order to facilitate moving around all of these different video images. So if we can find an improved coding algorithm, which is more efficient and is able to reduce the network traffic and therefore the bandwidth and therefore the storage, that really, really will help us. So the solution that we have to that is TiOC. And as you see, it comes in a couple of different form factors. One is a bullet type camera, and one is a mini dome type construction. So let's take a look at that in a little bit more detail and drill down into some of those solution values. Firstly, the TiOC is an industry first. It is the first camera, as I said, to combine those three technologies, those three features into the same form factor. You won't get that from any other manufacturer in the industry. We're able to boast 24/7 color. So we're able to produce full color images 24/7. And we're able to do it using a large aperture lens. So you'll see as we go on through later in the presentation, we have a lens that is f1.0, which allows 2.5 times the amount of light entering the camera, as opposed compared to an f1.6. And of course, we've developed a new sensor as well. So Dahua have developed a new sensor which allows 30% more capacity increase. And as far as the active deterrent, we touched on that earlier. The active deterrent has a built-in speaker, and it also has a red and blue light, as well as two-way talkback. And when it comes to artificial intelligence, the third part, then we're able, using AI, and you'll see more about this as we go throughout the presentation, we're able to use AI to reduce the false alarm rate to something less than 2%. And as far as motion detection, smart motion detection is concerned, we're able to increase that detection distance by 185%. And then the coding, we talked about the bandwidth and the networking requirements. While using AI coding, we're able to reduce the bandwidth by up to 90% compared to H.264. So because we have less data is on the network, less data is stored, less data is recorded, it allows us, because we're searching through less data, it allows us to provide a higher efficiency search engine. And again, I've got some slides on that a little bit later. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the headline features. Firstly, the cameras come in a variety of different options. There's a 2 megapixel version and currently a 5 megapixel version, and then later in July and August we'll be launching an 8 megapixel version. In terms of the LEDs, we have a different range for you. So the 2.8, if you buy a camera with a 2.8 millimeter lens, it comes with the range of the the range of the warm LED is 20 meters. If you buy a 3.6 millimeter lens, it comes with a 30 meter range and 40 meter range if you get the 6 millimeter lens. The cameras also come with 11 messages that are pre-recorded. So messages like you're in a restricted area, you're under CCTV surveillance, please leave immediately. These are pre-recorded, or you can customize your own recording. And also we use, as I mentioned earlier, red and blue LEDs as a powerful warning signal. Most people are familiar with the concept of red and blue, meaning an emergency service. So therefore we've maintained that and utilized that, as you can see on the images on the right-hand side. You can see we've got that on our cameras. So again, to recap, it's full color, active deterrence, and artificial intelligence in the same package. So that's the equation, if you like, that make up the TiOC camera. So let's go into each of these and talk a little bit more about them individually. To start with, let's talk about full color. So we've mentioned full color monitoring. We achieved that, and I touched on this earlier. We achieved this by using an f1.0 lens, which allows 2.5 times more light to enter the camera, the aperture, as opposed to an f1.6 lens. So a large aperture lens is key to allow us, as an enabling technology for full color monitoring. And I touched on this as well. This is a far more sensitive, high performance sensor with a 30% increase in its sensitivity. Also, as far as the signal processor is concerned, Dahua has self-developed in one of our research and development laboratories, ISP 4.0, which is a really strong signal processor that allows us to introduce technologies like AI coding and many of the artificial intelligence and AIoT features that we'll be talking about later. And as far as the warm light is concerned, we have a couple of we call them warm light LEDs. These are on the front of the camera. You'll see them later when we do some demonstrations. But this allows us to produce a very warm and natural picture, even in the dark, but whilst maintaining and not contravening EU standards for light pollution. So talking about those lights, let's have a look at them and see how they perform. So to start with, here's a picture that you'll see more of this type of picture from Chris when he rolls. These are snapshots from videos. But you can see this is a picture taken at night around about 10:30 p.m. with the warm LEDs off. So it's not a bad picture. You know, when you consider the level of ambient light, it's not that high, but it still is the camera is able to produce a good picture. If we turn on the warm light, you can see immediately it's a far improved picture. And if you look at some of the areas that I've highlighted in red and you compare them with when the warm LEDs are off, you can see actually that it's being able to produce and show images that weren't previously visible. So if there was an intruder hiding in the shadows, maybe of the car or of the van, or in the far distance near the shrubbery, then previously with the warm LEDs off, you wouldn't have been able to see them. With the warm LEDs on, you can certainly see what's going on. And again, back to what our customers tell us, for evidential purposes, you want to be able to record and detect those people. So let's have a look at a little video. This is a video that we can show you. If I can find my mouse, there we go. Let me roll the video, and you can see. So this is nighttime performance without LEDs. And if we just scroll down to look at the image, so what you see on the first part of the video, you actually, whoops, I'm sorry, let's roll that again. On the first part of the video, you can see what the person is seeing. So this is the actual ambient lighting level. And then you can see, by looking down at the monitor, you can see what the camera is seeing. So this is even without the warm LEDs. So it goes to show that the low light performance, even without the LEDs, is extremely good. But let's have a look at how good and why specifically we use these warm LEDs. So if you look at a graph of light level compared to time, we know that as the light level drops, then it becomes harder for the camera to produce a good picture. And Dahua has led the way over the past 3 or 4 years in introducing new technologies like starlight mode, full color mode, etc. But this really is an enhancement of that technology, because yeah, you still need light to produce a good picture. You can have all the enhancements you like in the world, but you actually, it's the law of physics, you need light to be able to produce a picture. So when the light level drops to a predefined level, so I've put those light levels on there for the 2 megapixel 1.21 lux and 2.5 lux for the 5 megapixel imager, then the warm LEDs come on and they're able to maintain a good, warm, high quality picture, even in poor lighting conditions, being able to give the customer the high quality images that they tell us they need. Okay, so that's full color. Let's take a look at some of the active deterrents. So to start with, and again, I've touched on a couple of these, let's go into it in a little bit more detail now. We have the red and blue light. So if I just roll this video, you should be able to see the red and blue light just cycling through there. So it gives a really strong indication that you've been spotted and that there is somebody on the way, possibly even the emergency services. So one of the other reasons that we've chosen red and blue is because research tells us that it's a lot more it's a lot better at being more noticeable when there's a heavy fog and rainy weather. If it was foggy and we used a white light as like a strobe, it's not as good in heavy fog and rainy conditions. So having that red and blue light makes life a lot easier. Okay, and I'll just show it one more time there, so you can really see. And Chris is going to do some demonstrations of this during his session. Also, we talked a little bit about the two-way talk. We have an enhanced speaker, and I know again Chris is going to demonstrate this to you, because we can show you anything in PowerPoint, but it's actually what it looks like in the real world that makes the difference. But I can assure you that it is an enhanced speaker performance of greater than 110 dBs, which has a better low frequency response. So when you're using that two-way talkback, that two-way communication, it's really important that not only you have a good quality speaker, that it's loud, but also is able to provide good sound quality. Okay, and as far as two-way talk is concerned, that's a really important part of an active deterrent feature of the camera. So it's the ability to talk from the control room directly to the camera, i.e., and therefore onto the person that the camera's detected. You can talk in and have two-way communication. So if you think of the scenario, you have a security guard who's out on patrol, and then all of a sudden they receive, maybe the motion detection's been triggered, and on their mobile device, maybe the smartphone, they receive an alarm and an alert to say motion detection's been triggered. They can view that information in real time, and they're able to talk in real time to the person on site, to the intruder, and they can say, you're under CCTV surveillance. If you want to do that manually as opposed to automated, as I mentioned earlier, you can do that. So you can create a personalized active deterrent, and that's a really key feature. So let's move on to look at the artificial intelligence, the third element, if you like, that makes up our TiOC camera. So everybody, I'm sure, on this call is probably familiar with smart motion detection. But we're very pleased to say Smart Motion Detection 2.0 offers a massive enhancement compared to the 1.0 that most manufacturers have and we've had traditionally. This is a big enhancement. It actually allows 185% more detection distance. So if you need a camera, if you need to detect motion at long distance, then this is the camera for you. Please consider using TiOC. And if you don't believe me, speak to one of our distribution partners and arrange a demonstration. We can sort that out for you. This is a real game-changing type of technology. And being able to detect these motion events accurately whilst avoiding environmental noise is a big difference, and it's a big contributing factor in terms of how we're able to reduce the false alarm rate to less than 2%. So the alarm rate at night can actually be the same as the false alarm rate at night can be the same as the false alarm rate during the day, which is a major achievement. And as far as perimeter protection is concerned, we're able to filter out we're able to filter out environmental movement like leaves, like trees moving, like animals moving around in the scene. We can filter out that information. So we just give the customer the actual information they need about the motion events. So again, achieving that same less than 2% of false alarm rate. Okay, so one of the other things I mentioned in the introduction is the ability to have quick target search. And again, I think this is a really important technology. So again, we're able to filter out. This is a filtering process, a highly accurate filtering process that allows us to not only filter out the environmental motion, like I tried to say earlier on, but also other non-related objects and items. So if you look down at the screen on this image, you'll see that blue bar of information. So we know that blue bar is the recorded video. And if you were looking for, say, the movement of a certain person, then you have to search through all of that blue bar to be able to find that person. So why not employ a little bit more of an intelligent search? So using artificial intelligence, we're able to select a parameter to say, okay, I know there's all that video recording, but just show me movement of people in that video information. So you're able to select using AI. You're able to select an advanced algorithm that says, just show me the people. And then, as you can see, if you contrast the blue bar here compared to previously, there are lots less incidents of motion simply because we've applied that filter to say, just show me people. Because in the first blue bar, there could be motion from everything. It could be people, it could be cars, it could be animals, it could be everything. But in the blue bar with the red indication, it's simply just we know that's just the movement of people. So if you're a security operator, if you're an end user, if you're a law enforcement person, then you know that it's a lot quicker, it's a lot simpler in order to be able to find the information that you're looking for. Okay. One of the other ways we can reduce the amount of information that you're looking for is using AI coding. Again, another feature of the artificial intelligence features of the TiOC. So again, we touched on this a little bit earlier. We know as Dahua and most of the industry is moving towards higher and higher image quality. That soaks up more data and it utilizes a lot more bandwidth. So for Dahua to be able to develop a very efficient AI coding algorithm, we're able to prioritize the movement of human people and vehicles. So we can have that filter in there. So we know of the data that is presented, we can filter just down to the movement of the people and the movement of the vehicles. Of course, you can look at everything if you want to, but we're able to provide that filter using very advanced constant bitrate algorithms to reduce the bitrate and at the same time maintaining quality. So we're able to achieve a massive reduction of 90% in terms of bitrate compared to H.264. And in the diagrams at the bottom, you can see H.264, it basically coded everything. Whereas on the diagram on the right-hand side, we're able to, using the constant bitrate algorithm, we're able to separate what is the background information and what's actual motion. So being able to differentiate these things intelligently is a real game changer. So how do we do in comparison to our enemy? We call so therefore Hikvision has a camera with this sort of technology, but if you look in the same package, they have full color, absolutely, but they only have 4 megapixel resolution. We have 5, soon to have 8. We have active deterrent built in the camera. We have artificial intelligence built in the camera. Hence the reason why we say this is a game changer. This is a first for Dahua. And in terms of our solution capability, we're going to circulate these slides afterwards. So you'll have a copy of these in your inbox in the next 24 hours. But as a reminder, we've got a lot of other products. This is the cameras form part of a solution. So we're very keen on being a solutions provider as a company. Being able to provide solutions is very important for us. So this is how the camera fits in with an AI and VR. And you can see that it fits in with the app. So if you're using remote monitoring, then you can do that. So this information is there for your reference later. So just as a recap, the camera features, the TiOC cameras feature active deterrent. So the two-way audio, the red and blue LEDs, and the powerful improved frequency response to the speaker. Also, warm LEDs as far as full color is concerned, warm light LEDs, large aperture lens, and an improved sensor help us deliver that feature. And artificial intelligence, smart motion detection, 185% better response than previous versions, less than 2% false alarm rate, quick target search, advanced filtering, and AI coding to reduce the bit rate and the storage requirement. A really, really strong package of features, all in the same product and competitively priced as well. Okay. One of the other things I'd like to talk about is a subject that's probably dear to most people's hearts, certainly mine, speaking on a personal level, the quality of our products. The quality is important for everybody, as you would appreciate. If you're the end user, it's important because what you don't want is any downtime or unreliable product. So it's important if you're an end user that you can rely on the manufacturer of the product in order to go through rigorous quality checks to make sure that we don't compromise the quality of our product in any way. So I thought it might be interesting to, as we get a lot of end users and consultants on these webinars, I thought it might be interesting just to give you a little bit of background information, so some internal pictures, if you like, and some background information about how at Dahua in our headquarters we go about ensuring that we deliver the highest quality products to the market. One of the tests that we perform is what we call or what's known generally in the industry as the IK10 test. This is an impact resistance test. So it starts off with a very battered 5-kilogram iron ball, and that's positioned, as you can see in the middle picture, at a height of 1 meter above the camera. The camera is secured in position, and in this case it's a PTZ camera. So you can see on the right-hand side we've used some clear tape to hold the lens to make sure that it receives the direct impact of the iron ball. But you can see the result after the test is that the lens is undamaged. So there's a big tick in the box there for passing the IK10 test. In terms of the ingress protection, this is the ingress protection relating to the second digit, if you like, whereby so this is the protection against ingress of liquids. So you can see that we undergo on the left-hand side a water flushing test. We've got a water shower test, and actually an immersion test where the cameras are immersed for a period of time, actually underwater, in order to ensure high compliance. And again, a few more tests, product reliability. So this is a vibration test on the left-hand side. The products are put on a vibrating bed. You can see again another water immersion test in the middle. Hopefully you can see that video running. Temperature test, so we know that you are completely safe in installing these products in very extreme temperatures. It may be, you know, in North America or in Russia. It doesn't matter if you're very low temperature requirement or if you're installing in a very hot environment. We're confident that our product is able to stand up to the rigors of high temperature and low temperature. But also our product travels a long way, and therefore we have to make sure that it's protected against couriers and bumps and bruises that may happen during transportation. So we also do a package drop test. So we drop the product directly on the floor and make sure that the packaging that we use, which of course we have to make sure is environmentally safe, is able to protect the product, so that when you unbox the product for the first time, you're able to see the product in exactly the way it's meant to be. Okay, couple of other areas where specifically when we talk later about the PTZ, it's really important that we consider the performance of the mechanical parts. So making sure we use a very high quality belt material and gear material. We're able to make sure that the motors can perform a high torque, can perform in high torque environments. More importantly, not just going to achieve a high torque, but consistently achieve a high torque without the risk of failure. And also, because PTZ products are often in constant rotation, then we use the highest quality slip rings. And we'll come on to talk about some of these components in just a few moments. And I thought it might be quite interesting to share this one with you. And it's a fact that every time we have a new mechanical design, we allocate 20 units. We put 20 units on a test rig just like this for long-term stability testing, so that when you unbox a Dahua product, you know that it's been tested in terms of its ability to perform at high performance under a range of environmental conditions and always achieve perfect reliability. This is, I think, an interesting slide, and this really shows how Dahua's differentiated ourselves compared to the rest of the industry. So I've picked three different areas of a PTZ camera. Firstly, the slip ring assembly. Well, through analysis, we know that the industry average before the MTBF, if you like, on a PTZ camera slip ring is 2 million times. So we know on average after 2 million times of use, then the slip ring assembly will fail. Dahua's tested and proved that we are in excess of 3.5 million times. That's a massive increase compared to the industry average. And if you look at our motor and our belt system, the industry average is 6 million times. Ours is 20 million. And in terms of the cable harness and the twisted cables that are used to connect the various parts of the PTZ together, then the industry average, again, before failure, is 6 million times. We're over 4 times that at 25 million. So you know, if you choose to use or recommend to your customers to use a Dahua PTZ product, or indeed any of our products, you know that you are buying a product that is underpinned with industry-leading reliability. So therefore, why is quality so important? Well, everybody talks about quality, and I've proven to you how through the last few slides how Dahua takes this very seriously. But why is it so important? Well, consider this scenario. Maybe let's take a city centre type scenario, and in a city centre you see, or town centre, you see a lot of PTZ cameras used. If one of those PTZ camera fails, this is kind of the workflow that you have to go through. The first thing you have to do is get a replacement camera. So you need to organize a replacement camera. And the next thing is you have to arrange permits. Okay, so maybe you have to apply to the local authority in order to perhaps cordon off a road, potentially, but you may have to cordon off a part of the pavement. It may be that you had to arrange some lifting and some access equipment. Maybe you need a cherry picker. Okay, again, liaison with the local authority, liaison sometimes with the police, but you need to arrange access to that product. And then you need to get up there and send a couple of people to replace the faulty camera, return the damaged camera or get it fixed. And then if necessary, you have to go, if you have to replace the camera again, you've got to go through that whole process again. So that's a pretty time-consuming process. But what's the cost of that? And I don't know the answer to this. You probably know better than I do. Is it £500? Is it £1,000? Is it £3,000? I don't know. But we're talking purely of a financial cost there. What about a reputational cost? What's the cost of, to the reputation of the manufacturer that builds that product? And that's why Dow invests so much time and money to ensure that the products that we launch into the market worldwide are of the highest quality and use good quality components, and they're tested to meet rigorous standards. Okay, so let's continue on the theme of PTZs. Let's talk a little bit about our auto tracking system. So I'm sure probably some of you have seen this type of technology before, but let's take a look at some of the problems that traditionally affect PTZs that are able to provide auto tracking. So again, let's roll this little video here. And this shows a typical example with a much older, first generation PTZ camera back in 2017. And you can see that the camera has misidentified the fact that this motion is a cat, an animal, and actually it thought it was a person. So it's mistakenly started to track that person, or that object, I should say. And again, the other condition that you can also fool PTZ, traditional PTZ tracking facilities, is the environmental conditions. So you've often seen trees blowing in the wind. That can really confuse a PTZ camera that is able to that is trying to do auto tracking. The other thing is, as these cameras are moving around trying to track different objects, it's very, very difficult for the camera to ensure that there's a good focus at all times. Again, when it comes back to the beginning of the presentation, one of the things our customers tell us is that they need to have good quality evidential video. It's no good asking a PTZ camera to track a person if the person is out of focus. So it's really important that we're able to achieve not only good tracking at speed, but also able to produce an image which is crisp and sharp. So with our predictive focus algorithm, and we'll show you some video of that a little bit later, then you'll see that we're able to achieve that. The other thing that the camera needs to be able to do is to fit in very well with the environment. And this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Some of the slides here are a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it is actually based on a real complaint for a customer. So the traditional design of a PTZ, which had a flat top, it really worked very well if you wanted for birds to nest on top of and sit on. And of course, birds do what birds will do. And there was a real cost of maintenance to the installer that installed this system, to constantly having to go and clean the PTZ because the birds were sitting atop of it. So, and then on the right-hand side, high power consumption. Gone are the days where we can just use any amount of power we like. We need to be as green as possible. We need to make sure that our products are low power consumption. So we're going to show you how we achieved all of these different things. So as far as the customer requirement is concerned, we want to have auto tracking of people and vehicles. They don't want false alarms. They don't want auto tracking to track the movement of animals. They want it to track the things that it is intended to track. Also, it needs to be accurate. It needs to keep the image clear when they're moving, when the person's moving, so that they've always got good quality evidential video. They need to make sure that it's reliable and has a long service life. And again, through the technologies and the testing and the high quality products that I talked about earlier on, you can see how we can achieve that high quality. And also, it's got to fit in well with the environment. It needs to be low power consumption. and it needs to be in a and not cause a problem for installation companies or end users, like with having birds sat on top. So let's look at some of the solution values. So we have auto tracking 2.0, and we're able to achieve that faster tracking and track it long range. And Chris is going to show you some videos of how we do that a little bit later, but also keep that false alarm rate below 2%. And I touched on the importance of a predictive focus algorithm, the PFA. So this is keeping the image clear whilst we're zooming in. So all the way through the focus range, we're always ensuring that the image is in best clarity. There's nothing worse than the camera moving to be alarmed, to an alarm position. It zooms in, and then it takes 2 or 3 seconds for the camera to find its focus. We know that already. We can be predictive about it, which keeps the image in focus for the customer. Also, the motion system needs to be strong and reliable. Again, reliable slip ring, motor, belt, and use the highest quality cables. And AI search, we can use artificial intelligence as a search to improve our efficiency by 98%. And of course, it's environmentally friendly with a low power consumption of less than 14 watts in day mode with the IR off. And again, the design needs to be more suited and more complementary to the environmental conditions. Okay, so let's look a little bit now about the auto tracking feature. Well, the benefit of this is that it significantly enhances the tracking of fast-moving objects. So there are lots of different scenarios, as you can see from some of the icons at the bottom, that may require tracking. So we use in 2.0, auto tracking 2.0, we use a deep learning algorithm to be able to improve the accuracy of the tracking. So this AI algorithm is able to target and track just people or vehicles. So we're able to put in that very powerful search engine using that AI algorithm in order to just track the motion that we're looking for. And therefore, all the other unnecessary items can be filtered out. So let's have a look at some of the workflow there. So I've taken all of those motion, those sources of different motion, and put them into a group there on the left-hand side. So we're able to utilize and search and filter within that group of information, and we can filter out the motion that we're not interested in. And again, the algorithm can show us just the people and the vehicles. That allows us to focus on the target. So the actual target that we're searching for, i.e. people motion in this example, as I said, using a filter, we're able to focus very much on the target that we're trying to track. And then we can predict the motion. We can begin to predict the direction and the speed of the target. And we can keep tracking that person at distance, in focus, until they leave the tracking range, or they're obscured by maybe some trees, or because obviously we can't see through trees, or it's exceeded the time of 300 seconds. And then the camera goes back to its preset position. So we know that accurate tracking means less false alarms. It means less data. It means it's easier to search and filter out all of these false alarms from unnecessary targets. So again, if you look at all of those moving targets, the utilization of that deep learning algorithm allows us just to give and use the alarm type that we're looking for. So if you're trying to track a person or a vehicle, it's a lot easier in terms of workflow, and certainly saves you a lot of time. So let's have a little look at some video. So this is a video of a person in the red jacket, and as they walk through, the cameras pick them up as motion, and it's now beginning to track them. Obviously zooming in, and if you notice at all times, the camera's remaining in good focus. And even if they pass behind another person, the camera is not fooled. And this is a very clever part, a very clever feature of the product that we'll touch on a little bit more as we go through. Okay, so you can see the camera's still able to track that person whilst not being confused by another person. So we've got a comparison now to one of our competitors, and this is real live video. This is real video. We haven't doctored this in any way. So I'm going to run the competitor's algorithm on the left-hand side, he says. Okay. So as you see, the person is now running at speed, and this is very hard for a PTZ camera to do, but the person is running through the field of view of the camera. Now our competitor's algorithm has not detected that. And if I show you ours, there we go, the camera's picked him up, it's zooming in, it's tracking him at speed, maintaining focus, and continuing to zoom in to give the best possible quality of image. So you see, compared to our competitors, the performance of Auto Tracking 2.0 is far greater than our competition. But what about long-term, long-distance, long-range tracking? Let's have a look at this. So we have a tripwire set up in blue, and as the car is tripped that wire, the PTZ camera now has moved, it's zoomed in, it's kept him in focus, and now obviously it's obscured by the trees. And now it's returned to its preset condition, waiting for the next trip, the next item to be triggered. But just to show you that again, that's really quite impressive. When you see the car at long range, at distance, it's zoomed in, it's kept it in the subject in focus. Again, very impressive capability of the algorithm. And here's the predictive focus. So again, we've compared to an older traditional algorithm on the left-hand side here, and this is the new PFA 2.0 on the right. So I'll roll these videos at the same time, so you can see, and they pause, so you can see immediately as it's paused the license plate and the person. With the traditional focus algorithm is very hard to see, but with the new algorithm, it's a lot easier. And if I roll that again, you'll see. You can make out the license plate, and you can make out the person as well. So, in terms of being able to capture two very important areas of information, the license plate and who the person is, then PFA 2.0 is a real game changer as far as providing evidential quality video is concerned. And as far as being environmentally friendly in terms of its design, we've changed the design. So this has got a more domed top that doesn't stay still; it moves all the time. So this is not a bird-friendly design. So the amount of maintenance calls, the amount of inconvenience you should get as an end user as a result of this change in design is a lot better for you. And at the same time, it's also a lot better because we're able to say that it's a far lower power requirement. So it's only 11 watts on the SD5A, lower 11 watts with a power consumption. So this is an incredible game changer, and even with the IR lights on, it's only 20 watts of power. So PoE compatible, making installation a lot easier, making it easier to back up the product if you're using maybe a UPS or something like that. So really big benefits to using the new range of cameras. One of the other things that people often complain about, especially if a camera is mounted to the side of a building, maybe a residential building that has cladding, the noise, the mechanical noise. I've heard it for many years. The fact that this noise is transmitted throughout the building. So therefore, the SD5A is actually the quietest PTZ in the world. So if you have a residential application and you're fixing it to the side of cladding, you can install the SD5A, knowing in full knowledge that this is going to be the quietest PTZ in the world. Again, I said we're a solutions provider as a company. We're a solutions provider, and therefore we've put a couple of slides in at the end here in it to show you how it interfaces with things like the AI and VR, and then the DSS and the DMSS solutions. We've also got some information about the model numbers and a summary over there on the right-hand side of the slide about the different features and specifications of those products. So again, included this so that when you get these slides as a follow-up to the webinar, you'll be able to refer to these. In the same way with the 2000, 4000, and 5000 I-series NVRs, to be able to use some of those AI capabilities. Okay, so that really concludes everything to do with the TiOC camera and the new range of PTZ and our quality. I think through the Andy's indicating to me that we've now got some Q&A, so I'm going to, hopefully it should appear on the screen. Okay, let's look at our first question. Okay, the first question comes from Rebecca. Does the camera have a built-in microphone? Okay, yeah. So as we touched on earlier in the presentation, yes, it has a built-in microphone. So this is the feature that enables you to talk not only from the control room to the camera, but also the camera can pick up noise and voices from the camera side and transfer that. So you have two-way audio from the camera location back to the control room. Okay. Okay, question from John. Where can I buy Dahua products? John, hold on. I'm going to come back to that one in a few slides' time. So thank you for that. We'll share a list of our distribution partners with you in just a moment, John. Question from Steve. On the TiOC camera, why does Dahua use warm LEDs instead of cool white? Okay, we use warm LEDs instead of cool white LEDs. Firstly, to keep the lighting level down, to produce a more natural picture, to keep within EU standards, and again, to make sure we don't cause a lot of light pollution. And also, it can be quite obtrusive if you're using this in a city centre or a residential area to have very bright LEDs. It's a kind of warmer, more natural light that gives better pictures, Steve. Okay, Chris, how does smart tracking not get confused when it sees other people or objects? Oh yeah, okay, good question, Chris. So I don't know whether you noticed when we did showed one of the videos of the person and the PTZ was tracking. The person actually walked behind another person. So the reason, to answer your question, Chris, the reason it does that is it knows using metadata, it knows what the profile of the person that is moving looks like. It has that, and the deep learning algorithm is able to learn that. And when the person passes maybe behind another car or another person, there's a difference there, and it also knows because the person's in motion, then it's able to maintain tracking. So to answer the question, it has the deep learning algorithm. It doesn't get confused because it knows the specifics about the person that's moving, and is therefore able to track in a continuous way. I think this is the last question. So can the light level and sound level, sorry, question from Andy. Can the light level and sound volume be adjusted on the TiOC camera? So yes, it can. And I think actually, I can't see Chris at the moment, but I think actually he's going to demonstrate this for you, Andy, in his part of the presentation. Okay, so last two slides from me before I hand over to Chris. Firstly, where to buy. I think it was John that asked the question, where can you buy? So here's a list of our distribution partners in the UK and Ireland. Again, we'll send you this information in the slide deck after the PowerPoint presentation. So you'll have that as your reference information. So finally from me, why Dahua? Well, if you're not currently using Dahua products, we'd really like you to. Please give us a try. For all the reasons that we've talked about and a whole lot more, please try. We put the customer at the center of our product development. Right at the core of everything we do at Dahua is based around what our customers tell us. Through much of the testing and the quality assurance that I talked about in the middle part of the webinar, we deliver unparalleled quality and reliability. We beat the industry every single time for slip ring performance, for the quality of our cabling, and for the reliability of our motors and our belts and our torque settings. We deliver the best of breed. We work in partnership with our installation partners, our distribution partners, and with our end users as well. We like nothing more than to be challenged and to bring innovation to the security industry using AIoT. We love to, as I said, we love to be challenged using it to find innovative customer solutions. We love to apply our technology to meet the needs of our customers with their challenges. We like nothing more than for you to challenge us. So please feel free to do that. We invested last year almost $400 million in research and development. And part of that is, in fact, a lot of that is all centered around reducing our carbon footprint. So we talk about lower and lower power requirements for PTZ cameras. Yeah, that's all part of reducing our carbon footprint, but also your carbon footprint, being kinder to the environment. And from Dahwa's point of view, that starts at the design process. It's not just about packaging. It's starting at the design process, using lower and lower power requirement components and reducing the carbon footprint. And we are truly an end-to-end solution provider. We can provide everything from, not only, we've talked a lot today about our cameras, but also we can provide displays. We can provide everything in between. And part of that is done by working with our integration partners. So we have over 300 integration partners, companies we work with to deliver innovative solutions for customers. And we adopt all of the international safety and environmental standards. So we're very compliant as a company. We're very aware of our corporate responsibility, as well as our wish to develop innovative products and technologies for our customers. So thank you very much for attending. Any feedback is welcome. As I said, if you have any more questions that have been sent in, I know that we gave you a snapshot of some of the questions today. But if you have more questions, then please don't hesitate to send them in by chat. And I look forward to speaking to you on the next webinar. Thank you once again. I'm going to now hand you over to Chris, who's going to talk through the practical demonstrations of the TiOC camera.
Okay, that should be me. Okay, guys, right. Welcome to the webinar. Simon did a fantastic job there. I actually get the fun task to, in fact, actually show you about this technology here. I've been using it for the last 3 or 4 days. Really glad to, in fact, actually see that in the attendance list there that so many people that were recently on the DHSA and DHSP training course have revisited us here today. That's fantastic news. I can even see that there's a few old friends there. So, of course, guys, if you're unfamiliar, my name is Chris Flavelle. I take care of the post-sales management on this side of things, and I take care of the training specialist. So, of course, I run the vigorous course. Please do follow me on LinkedIn, guys. We do product releases all of the time. I do product comparisons, product testing, and then, of course, I do always put my calendar online for the DHSA, DHSP training courses. So, of course, you can be kept up to the loop in artificial intelligence and, of course, obviously, knowing the best quality of service. So today I'm going to talk about this product, the actual TiOC bullet camera. I think this is a complete game changer, guys. I've been doing this for 17 years now. So in this particular case, I have never seen such a feature-rich IPC device. So, of course, the model that I've been dabbling with recently is the 3549, so 3 series, 5 megapixels, generation 4 for AI, and then 9 for full color. This camera has it all. So, of course, we can, in fact, actually incorporate the light on the front of the device. We also have full color for ultra-low light conditions. And then, of course, we can, in fact, actually use the active Deterrent technology to keep people away. Just, of course, obviously, a blast from the past, going back to old dummy cameras, then, of course, the whole point of a dummy camera is somebody to get you on site. You notice the big red flashing light, and then, of course, you leave because, obviously, somebody thinks that they're looking at you. Well, in this case here, active Deterrent technology, we just don't want you on site. So, of course, we can actually do a tripwire or intrusion detection based on human or on vehicle on a device like this, 40 meters away. Compared to whenever Katie and I tested, the actual the active Deterrent 5 series camera on the side of this building here, we only got to 20 meters. So 20 versus the 40, this is an amazing feature. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to show you, because you've probably seen my recent videos that, of course, we actually have the white light from the active Deterrent camera. So I'm just going to show you the actual front camera on this one. So when the actual active Deterrent on the older model would be activated, then, this is what we have. This would, in fact, actually have 2 types of settings, constantly on or flicker. And then, of course, if I transfer to my new one, and there we go. Take a look at that. In this case here, it doesn't really do it justice whenever we're already in an illuminated room. However, when you see my videos later on, then of course I tested this at near 10:30 or something. the whole area was illuminated red and blue. The whole area was illuminated, and of course, you know, if anybody was nearby me at the time, they would be sitting there thinking, you know, what on earth is that? You know, that was a real concerner. So of course, in this case here, you know, just by actually having these lights here and the powers of that illumination, then of course it makes it very, very obvious that something is going on. And of course, if you've got these flashing at you in complete pitch black darkness, and of course you see the powers, you're not going to be sticking around. You know, you're going to see the lights, and then of course you're going to be on your way. So of course, like, even the actual, because like Simon made reference to the low light technology, and of course let's not forget when it comes down to Starlight Plus full color, then of course obviously it is a magnification of what you do have. So of course in this camera here, now we of course obviously have warm light, so then that way if it really does get down to a lux level that the camera cannot operate and function at the ability for the best quality of service of the technology, then of course we can turn on the illumination light. So what I'll do is I'll fire those on for you here now. Now these are bright, guys. These are proper bright lights. So of course now whenever we had this at the actual house, and of course I'll show you in my video, is that this lit up everything: the side of the van, the back of the fence, the wall, the reflective license plates, absolutely everything. This is a major power light. So of course if we turn on the previous light as well, just for a quick second here. Look at the comparison there. You know, you can clearly see this is in fact actually whiting out the webcam here, just because obviously it's a halo or pure bright white warm light. So of course in this one here, maybe not so much, but you know, this is also an active deterrent camera too, but this one is way better. So of course between the two devices, then of course this particular one, a 5 series device, active deterrent, this one has a standard video motion detection in the event that you ever needed it. Oh, we can turn off the lights now. And then, of course, whenever it came down to this one, when you go into the actual camera's configuration page, it clearly says video motion detection, and then below that, it says smart motion detection. Then, of course, when smart motion detection is activated, then, of course, it's responsible for what video motion detection does. So then, of course, you can clearly go into video motion detection, turn it on, select your features, do your relays, do your send emails, all of that nonsense. But then you can go into smart motion detection and specifically select human or vehicle, and of course if it's any one of those two parameters, only then the alarm will fire. And don't forget, guys, this is all front-end technology. This is an AI camera, so of course you don't necessarily have to have an NVRI with artificial intelligence. You could in fact actually use your old models like our 4KS2, 4 series, 5 series. It doesn't matter where AI exists in your solution, as long as there's an I somewhere. So of course front end or back end. In this particular case here, I can't wait to get my hands on one of these. In fact, actually, I might not give this one back. But in this case here, you know, I in fact can't wait to get one of these. Then of course, just to be able to have all of these advanced features. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dip out of view, and then of course I'm going to put up a couple of videos here, and then of course you're just going to be able to see the actual powers of this technology straight live in some good demonstrations. So just one second, give me a minute. Okay, so we'll start off with the light frequency. Okay, so all of these are selectable based on how you wish for it to be triggered. You know, that one there might do you harm. This is in the front garden. This is 10 o'clock at night, guys. Right, okay, now it doesn't really do it that much justice, because you know, like it's a full color camera, so it can see in the dark better than I can see in the dark. However, though, in this case here, then of course I think it's going to replay. Then of course all of this, that fence in the background, the car's reflection, you will see all of this. You know, you can see the number plate is illuminated there. In this case here, the whole area was red and blue. Okay. This one's not as good because it's a dark screen and of course in the webcam, but of course you'll see that I'm just walking around, and then of course in the left hand side, a slightly high elevation, you know, that's it. You know, this is as bright as anything, guys. Nobody is going to be sticking around on the premise to do something that they shouldn't be doing with 3 or 4 of these flashing away. No chance. And then just a quick comparison there, guys. So of course, just as Simon showed you, however, there was a slightly larger image now. So of course, like as you can see here, so of course that has actually illuminated, and I think on the far left-hand side, yes, you can actually see that these license plates are whiting out. So of course, obviously with the high elevation, the powers of the warm light are obviously lighting up the area, and more so. Then of course you can see in the actual car there is illumination, and then of course clearly here there is illumination. So of course the actual powers of the lights, the warm lights on the front of the device, are extremely strong. Now, the street lights that they replaced in my area do not do it justice at all. In fact, actually, I took a picture of the actual street light, and it is barely anything at all. It is just literally a guidance light for somebody to be able to see the footpath to the road. In this case here, if I was to replace this with some of my older regular cameras, like a 4431, then of course, obviously, you know, it would go into IR mode, and this would be completely grayscale. This is easily, clearly identified. That is a white car. It does have a red roof. It's green grass. It's green foliage. You can see everything in a full color image. This one here, without the warm lights on, then of course you could in fact actually pass this field of view and still be identified of the clothes that you're wearing. Conventional cameras, they would have, of course, obviously gone back to black and white, and then of course we would have never in fact actually used the actual technology. So when it comes down to the actual TiOC camera, guys, then of course, as far as I'm concerned, it's a complete game changer. It takes micro SD card technology up to the new 256 gigabit, and then of course, whenever I was actually testing, you know, there's whole H.265 plus and all of this increased in compression. I couldn't believe it. So that's a 5 megapixel camera. A real game changers whenever it's going to be 8. You're talking about 4K full color. You know, that's going to change the whole industry. But then of course, whenever we in fact actually had 5 megapixels, it was at 4096 on H.264, so that's 4 megabits per second. I changed it to H.265, then of course it did 2 megabits per second, and then whenever I changed it to H.265 plus, then of course it went down to like 256 kilobits. It was like a 90% saving. You know, how is that even possible? Well, of course, because of that increased level of compression, you know, to get a 5 megapixel camera that's doing less than 512 megabits per second, it's an absolute game changer. So of course, very impressed with this, guys. You will be too. And of course, when we actually have, you know, the 2, 4, the 8 megapixels, then of course, when you take on board this technology, then of course you won't get anything else. You'll just continue to get this all the way from using artificial intelligence, the active technology, and of course, obviously, the ability to see in full color. Okay, so of course, like the days of IR are literally coming soon, are nearly going to be over, because all of our cameras have the ability to see better in the dark than we do, plain and simple. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, guys, is going to deviate to show you now my auto tracking 2.0 technology. Now, of course, also, once again, extremely impressive. I put the actual PTZ on top of the actual garage. We did some various speed tests. That was actually quite fun, you know, driving a residential car around in a busy estate. You know, that was pretty good. Then, of course, we had the kiddies come out. So we had my children. They, of course, obviously were doing various different speed tests and auto tracking. And then, of course, what I do is I'll just describe exactly what I see. However, all of them, they are a complete wow factor whenever you see the footage compared to other footage that we have before, and especially whenever it comes down to competitors. So just one second. Okay, so what we do is we just start off with a speed test of a vehicle at 10 miles an hour, going past the actual lens at close proximity of only 16 meters, and you will see immediately on how quickly the artificial intelligence picks up on the vehicle based on the artificial intelligence, and then of course activates the tracking. Okay, boom, go. Okay, so that was at 10 miles an hour, guys. As you saw, it was very tunnel vision. That is a very tunnel vision shot. But we see the car, we know it's a car, we track the car. Right, 20 miles an hour. This was a bit more fun. There we go. Okay, so now that for me, as far as I'm concerned, given my industry experience, guys, I think that was quite impressive. We only got 16 meters from the camera lens to that particular area, and in this case here, even with its extreme tunnel vision, then of course it knew it was a car in a very short period of time. And then off it goes. Okay. This was, of course, obviously Tyler. So, of course, we're now practicing out at the front here. So, of course, I'm just walking on the right-hand side of Tyler, so he's perfectly safe. But this happened. You know, we didn't plan for this, but this happened, and it was perfect timing because I'm just standing here. He's coming down here. I've told him to go to the tree. A car's now coming. Tyler doesn't know to cross or go, so of course I've got the heads up from the actual driver. But watch the actual car eventually. It nearly blocks the complete field of view of Tyler, stopping him. And of course it's only the head that was maintained. However, though, it kept the auto tracking working. So of course, in this case here, we also incorporate PFA, predictive focus algorithm. That's whenever we auto track, we zoom and we adjust the iris at the same time. As you can see, we will zoom in maybe 2, 3, 4 times, but the picture will never go out of focus. Okay, so I think that was maybe the second one or so. I think there's going to be another one come soon. And here's that car again. It literally, it's just the actual head there. And then, of course, in this case, it still maintained the target objective. I know for a fact, guys, I've seen enough cameras that in a scenario like that, then of course that would have definitely lost the actual field of view and it would have lost the target objective. I know this definitely. Here comes one zoom in a second. There we go, zoom. Perfect picture quality, it never went out of focus. This is when we get Tyler to do some speed tests. Go on, Tyler, run. Okay, that was 3 zooms already. There's another one. I literally told him to run as fast as he could. Okay, so just count them with me, guys. I think there's like three or four different zooms there, and of course the picture quality was perfect every single time. Okay. 1, 2. So two zoom retractions, no picture quality distortion at all. Perfect. This is the biggest one. So, as Simon showed in a different video, is that I have seen through different experiences, including on our own cameras, just like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Then of course, it was the target objective of it wasn't even artificial intelligence then. It was just video motion detection. But video motion detection in a close proximity with another video motion detection field in the field of view. Then of course the problem was whenever the target would be bigger. Now unfortunately, I'm a pretty big target. So in this case here, whenever I'm actually walking adjacent to Tyler, then of course there's a high probability back in the older generations that of course obviously it'll pick up on me immediately and it'll start tracking me and it'll just completely forget Tyler. Well, in this case here, we did various different obstacles. Walking side by side is pretty easy, but you'll see from the first video you see, then of course I'm walking right next to Tyler, and then of course in this particular case, Tyler turns back around, I continue walking, but I wasn't the target objective. So the auto tracking 2.0 will keep its eye set on the person that it follows first, and of course will keep you in the field of view until you in fact actually change the timer or change the PTZ field of view. Okay, so here we go. I'm walking right next to him, and it kept with him. Okay, there's various ones, but there's maybe 7 or 8 of these. As you can see, I'm double the size to Tyler. I've gone out and put a Dower t-shirt on him now, so that way we in fact actually match the same colours. Oh, I know that was close. That would have normally in fact actually got a different type of result many years ago. And that one actually, because I've completely blocked Tyler there. That one's a bit easy for a camera. Okay. But it really was that first one. I was walking right next to him. Oh, look, see? Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay, guys, well, so I've had the technology for about a week or so. So I've got the auto tracking camera, I've got the TiOC camera, and of course, as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't say otherwise. I think that they're absolutely game changers. So of course, I will definitely be installing one of these cameras the moment that I get one. The moment that they go to 4K, so you got 8 megapixels, then of course, once again, then we're just going on leaps and bounds as usual. And of course, obviously, it's always on an increase for quality of service, just like Simon said. Okay. Okay, guys, well, I'm going to close out the actual webinar here. So, of course, thanks for everybody attending. Thanks for all of my previous visitors for the training course. Please follow me on the old LinkedIn, guys. Please send me your requests. And then, of course, I'll keep you up to date for product testing, troubleshooting, TIMAC, you know, the thermal monitoring access control, body temperature, and then of course, obviously, TiOC. So, of course, in this case here, we've got the 3-in-1 camera. So, okay, guys, I think this has been a pretty good webinar and definitely successful. So, I would wish everybody a good afternoon, and of course, obviously, don't forget to keep safe. And then, of course, I hope to see you in the close future. Okay, guys, this has been great. So all the best. Thanks very much.